Should you have a low toss or a high toss on your serve? And this is perhaps the most controversial topic when it comes to the serve in tennis. And we're going to break it all down for you today and help you determine what is the ideal ball toss for you. And there are so many different theories that have come from all over the world, different coaches from many, many years, and we see so many different styles. And we could start back with Roscoe Tanner in the 70s, who placed the ball to the apex, and he hit the ball right at the apex of the toss. And that was something that Vic Braden was very much an advocate of. Place the ball to the top because the ball stops and you can hit a ball that's not in motion. That was one theory. And then we see theories where the ball toss should be higher. So I've done my own research on this over the years because obviously I want to get as much information as I can. And I'm fortunate enough that we've had the Oracle Challenger Series tournament here several years in a row, and we've had 84 men and women that are top professionals, not top 50 professionals, but top professionals, play here. And I've walked around each year and evaluated and statistically mentioned or noticed exactly who was tossing the ball where. And each year, there was only one player of the 84 who tossed the ball lower than the top of the fence. And the top of the fence here at the club is 12 feet. So I use that as a very good gauge or guideline for ball toss height. And if you're tossing the ball lower than that, then you're going to have a quick style. If you're tossing the ball higher than that, you're going to have a very delayed style and things are going to get complicated. Something like what Alexander Zverev does on the tour now. His ball toss is just too high, the ball's descending, it's difficult to measure, and when he gets nervous, he hesitates and he dumps the ball in the net oftentimes. So there's a middle ground in there, and it's very, very important that we find that middle ground. And we're going to break that down for you a little bit more. In fact, I had the distinct pleasure of training with and being the sparring partner with Kevin Kern, who was a Wimbledon finalist in 1986, and he hit his serve right at the apex. And I can tell you that when we were rallying and so forth, I was able to hang with him and it was pretty fun, but once he started to serve, he just served me right off the court. But I don't feel so bad about it because he actually served Jimmy Connors right off the court and hit 33 aces against Jimmy Connors in the quarterfinals that year at Wimbledon. So big serve, but he was also a tall guy. And he had this very quick release, and it was very difficult to time. And his ball was literally rising into the back fence every time, so it was amazing. But realistically, most servers have a different rhythm, and there's good reasons for that. So if you're trying to hit that ball at the apex, it's pretty difficult because you have to be into your swing before the ball's even out of your hand. So you don't even know if you've placed a ball very well or not. And then you've just got to have this very quick kind of action, which I find to be kind of erratic. That was pretty wild, right? So if I'm going to do this, it's pretty hard for me to time that. Even though the ball theoretically could be sitting there for just a fraction of a second and kind of hanging there, I don't think that really matters, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. I think it's harder to do this for the simple reason that I've committed to my swing and my swing speed before I even know where the ball is. So I'll do it again and see if I can make it a little bit better. Pretty hard to do. I mean, I can get a lot of acceleration because there's no time for my racket to hesitate. So instinctively, I'm going to accelerate onto the ball. But I'm not really controlling the ball. It's kind of erratic and I'm hitting it away. So I'm not quite so sure that that works for most servers. The other challenge is that under pressure, we tend to toss the ball lower, not higher. So, maybe you can do this serve in practice and you can get a high degree of consistency, power, so forth. But under pressure, when you get a little nervous, the ball toss tends to be lower. So if the ball gets lower, then obviously you're not going to get the extension that you normally get, and you're probably not going to increase your consistency. You're going to compromise your consistency with a lower ball toss. So I don't think that that's going to help you when you're nervous under pressure in match play. The other challenge to the super low ball toss, trying to hit the ball at the peak of the toss, is that you really don't have much time to develop the movements on the serve. And I think that's another main reason why you look at most servers today, you see a different tempo. You see a tempo and a movement pattern where players today are placing the ball first, getting into a good loaded position, and then springing up into the ball. Most servers that are hitting the ball at the apex are not getting up on the ball with their legs. They're not driving up into the ball. So they're not getting the height and extension that you see players do, and they do get when they have a higher ball toss. So I think that the rhythm of this low toss, that I've experienced personally when I hit with Kevin Curran years ago is offset by the fact that the tempo is very difficult to maintain and control for most players. And if you're really trying to develop your foundation, your fundamentals, and your full range of motion, including a good strong load in the trophy position, that does not lend itself to a low ball toss. So I'm not a big advocate of the low ball toss for most players. So what about a higher ball toss, and how high should the toss be? Well, I love to use the fence as a guideline, first of all because it's convenient, because we're right on the court where we practice, and it gives us some guidelines for measurement. Now, we look at this fence, it looks like it's a mile high, and I'm just about 6 feet tall, and this fence is 12 feet. So my contact point, if I were to spring up into my serve, is going to be right in the middle of this porthole. So if I come in and I load up and spring up, I'm going to be making contact right in that porthole. So how high should my toss be? I'm going to toss it to the porthole. Let's see what happens. Boy, I hardly had any time to do anything, unless I get the swing started before I release the ball from my hand. So let's see what happens when I toss the ball up a little higher. Oh, that was perfect. So that was a perfect ball toss height. I think it got pretty close to the 12-foot mark. It gave me time to place the ball, load into my trophy position, and see that the ball was in the area it needs to be in order for me to play it. And now I can see it, I can make a move onto it, and I can spring up in the air and meet that ball at the peak of my reach, the natural, comfortable extension on my serve, where I can generate the most power and control. So for me, being 6 foot tall, I'm looking for a ball placement that's going to be pretty close to the top of that fence. And that's going to give me the time I need to execute a full range of motion, really measure up on the ball, and then spring up in the air and attack that ball. Now, opponents to this concept say that it's difficult to hit a ball that's descending. So they say that the ball is in the window of contact much shorter amount of time than a ball that sits in the apex and you hit it there. Well, the ball pretty much leaves that peak very quickly anyway, so it's still in motion. But the reality is this ball's not descending quickly. And as a tennis player, all I do is hit tennis balls in motion all the time. So you get skillful at playing a ball that's descending. So it's much easier to spring up on a ball and play a ball that's descending slowly, I believe. Look how slowly that ball's coming down. It's just floating. So I don't think the timing of that is that difficult. And because you have a little window of measure and seeing it and then going up and getting it, I don't think the timing is as complicated on a higher ball toss than some of the opponents to a high ball toss believe. But let's be clear, I'm not an advocate of tossing the ball higher than 12 feet or the top of the fence for most players that are of average height. So I don't think the ball should be getting up high where you have to wait a long time and then stall your motion. See that? Well, the ball was in a good area accuracy-wise. When it's coming down from such a high point, I think you have to wait, and I don't think we want to do that. We want to stay in motion. We don't want to feel like we have to stop and wait for a ball at any point in the serve. For me, I just feel like I place the ball and I go slow and I stay in motion. There may be a subtle pause in the trophy position, but that's just a place for me to feel like I gather my coordination and my timing, and I'm measuring onto the ball, and then I spring onto it and take it. So I think the timing is much better when I have a subtle pause than when I'm just rapidly moving onto the ball, like a low ball toss. Another disadvantage of a low ball toss is it's very difficult to hit a topspin serve because you don't have time to swing up into the ball and get your legs involved. So most of the momentum on this low ball toss serve is going to be forward. So most of the time you're going to see servers that toss the ball low are going to hit the ball flat or with slice. So it's very difficult to hit up on it, but you can really hit forward on it. Now, if you're trying to hit a topspin serve or a kick serve, it's much more comfortable to place the ball up, load up, and then spring up into contact to get your height. So we want to get a nice high ball that's descending in order to swing up into it. So if you're looking to hit a topspin serve, you need to get your ball toss up and then swing up into a ball that is descending into contact. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope this video really helps you understand and once for all clarifies the advantages and disadvantages of a high ball toss versus a low one. And as a final thought, if you're developing your serve, the movements, the swing pattern, getting your legs involved, coordinating the whole movement, Stick to having a ball toss that gives you time to develop those movements. And if you naturally move towards having a lower ball toss, because that's what you naturally do and once you've got your skills developed, then that is a great way to go. But for most players, I think higher ball toss is going to be more beneficial for you, not only in the short run, but in the long run. Thanks again for watching today's video. Please like, comment, subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to learn more about the serve, click on the link in the description down below and gain access to our library of lessons, where I not only reveal the principles that you need to master on your serve, but in every shot in tennis. Thanks again for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next lesson.